Recording in process. Recording in process. I don't know. We'll see how long it goes. Okay, good morning. Today is the 8th of Adar, Sheni, March 18th. And today, the purpose of every spiritual descent, what happens to the neshama comes down into the world, right? It comes into the body. The physical body, as we've mentioned, is like a galus that the neshama goes into, just like the Yidden are today in galus. But what's the purpose? To reveal the godly light in the spiritual darkness of the world. Just like when a chas v'shalom, a Yid does he takes his neshama along with him. He's taking that spark of Hashem along with him in a dark place. So too, the object is to try to light up that space. And then yesterday we built the case that this world is the lowest of all the worlds of the created world. There are spiritual worlds Hashem created, and this is the lowest world. But this is dafka, the place where Hashem wants to dwell, and this is dafka, the place in the darkest place where we are entrusted to bring and to inspire the light of Hashem. But since there is but one order of ishtalshus, a question arises: does its ultimate purpose lie in the higher worlds where godliness is revealed to a greater degree, or on the contrary, does the purpose lie in the lower realms in this world? V'hinei, I think I gave it away already. We're on page 92 if you want to follow along in the Chayim. So the whole purpose of the Seder Ishtalshalos, that the light of Hashem has to be contracted and veiled and screened off so that it's not only dimmed, but it's practically hidden, so far removed from our line of sight, physically and spiritually, that you don't even sense that God exists. At times you can feel like you're all alone in the world, and you have people saying that God doesn't exist. How could it be? So it comes to such a far low level, down to this whole descent is not for the sake of the higher worlds. Since for them, this constitutes a descent from the light of Hashem's countenance. The very word olam, which we call this world in Hebrew, means concealment. Thus, even the highest world constitute by the very existence a descent from the level of revealed godliness the way it is above that world, whatever world that is. It's illogical then to say that the revelation, which these higher worlds, you talk about the world of the angels and whatever it might be, represents, is the purpose of Ishtalshus, since their revelation is actually also concealment, albeit less concealed than our world. And the ultimate purpose of creation lies in revelation and not in concealment. So we may have concealment as we go down through the worlds, but at the same time, ultimately the purpose is revelation. The purpose is of the Hishtalshlus, the whole descent of the Shekhinah, and to be hidden is down here in this lower world. All the higher worlds are merely steps. That's why we call them levels. Madregas, different levels till we get to this world. Until they are finally reduced to the minute degree of revelation, excuse me, that this physical world is capable of receiving. Thus, the purpose of the Shtalshalos in this world, for such was his will, that he find it pleasurable when the Sitra Achra is subjugated to holiness and the darkness of Klippa is transformed into holy light. It wouldn't be such a chiddush if you have a big bonfire and then you take a match and you lit a flame next to it. It's already a holy world. But if it's a very dark room and then you struck a match and now there's a flame that illuminates and removes the darkness, that's much more pleasurable. That's a bigger, much greater accomplishment. So that's what Hashem wants. Let's say you have two people. One guy is a goody two shoes. He's always done the right things in life. That's wonderful. So, he says, I'm a success story. Then you have another guy who spent some time in jail, who was an addict, who has scars from getting into bar fights and all these kinds of things. Then the guy turns his life around, maybe. Then he turns his life around and he becomes the first one. He's the first one in shul in the morning, the last one to shul in the evening, meaning the last one to leave. He davens extra long, he says extra tehillim, and he gives most tzedakah because he became so successful in business. And all those things in his past is gone. Obviously, we're not looking to judge a human being, but which one is giving Hashem, their Father in heaven, the most nachas? Now, of course, there's a point to trying to live life as a tzaddik and do everything right. But when you light up the darkness of something that was much, when you strike that match and you light up and remove the darkness of something that's much darker and much more painful, difficult, the struggle is much harder, the success is much greater, right? Just like maybe the opposite, the higher they are, the farther they fall, the more they jump up as they were from the lower place. Again, from our perspective, just this is the Sefer Shalbeinim. This is the practical guidebook to daily life of the average guy that struggles. So if you don't have much of a struggle, so if you are able to just, do better, no big deal. But if you really struggle and you can't seem to get out of bed in the morning, or you can't seem to hold down a job, or you can't seem to stop whatever it is that you're doing that's terribly wrong, that you know what that is. And then one day you're able to overcome it. I know even for ourselves, we feel tremendous satisfaction. So imagine how the Eibishter feels. He knows what we're going through. He knows that for us to light up the darkness of the galus within our hearts and souls, the darkness that we experience on a day-to-day, how difficult it is to break free from whatever addiction, from whatever thing that we, are used to saying or doing or thinking, and what the inhibitions. And when we light that up, that's in essence the microcosm of the macro of trying to change this dark world and bring light into the world. That's what David is looking for. So then the place of darkness and Sitra Achira, that there will be light of Hashem that will shine forth. With greater strength and intensity, and with the superior quality of light that emerges from the darkness, meaning when darkness is transformed into light. Whenever that's saying, you hear that expression because we use that on Hanukkah, to transform darkness into light. Think about a part of your life that's very dark. Maybe it's a friend or a cousin or a relative that you just is so toxic, you don't even want to be in the same room as him. You don't want to go near him, or somebody, or your old boss that fired you, and now once in a while you see her when you go into work, and you're in a different division. The manager was so, whatever it is, either with another person or internally within you, you may have, you may have been addicted to something that you can't stop, and that's the darkness. So we talk about Hanukkah, you light, that's nice, that's metaphoric, but bring it into a reality where you have a certain darkness. Maybe it's a certain depression, a sadness, an anger, a certain jealousy, whatever that might be. And that's a real life situation for you. And then sometimes and somehow you come to an epiphany and you go, you know what? That's not going to define me anymore. And I'm going to get rid of that. And I'm going to be besimcha despite all of that. I'm not going to be jealous of that person anymore. You find a tactical way to overcome it. You quit drinking, you quit smoking, you quit doing the drugs, you quit whatever it is. You have such a relief. You have such a joy. There's such a light. You come in the next day or the next week or the next month and you're like, that now became a thing of the past. Yeah, 2 years ago I had that problem, but it's been 2 years. I know people that quit smoking that could tell you the exact date, time, hour, minute that they put down, they had their last puff, because they feel so empowered. That's their light in their darkness of that moment of their lives, in that area of their lives, in that kufa, that time period of their lives, that whatever it is that they went through. So we could apply it to real life situations, and we should, because then we rescue the godly soul from the darkness of the general egalus that we're in and the private, personal exile that it's in the physical body. We have then the light that's brought into the lower worlds. It starts here and then it transcends into the higher world. So when we do a mitzvah and when we do something special, we're not just affecting our own selves, our own, let's say, families and communities. We're doing things, creating a ripple effect. You remember that story last week, the two brothers, they collected $23.31. And on Shabbos, we were farbranging about it. Tens of thousands of dollars came in. They thought the little, going around by a chassan and collecting a few dollars has a major impact. So imagine you do a mitzvah and you think it's worth to you $23.31. That's all. It's nice, but it's not going to make a major impact. And then suddenly in the upper worlds, The angels are stirring. They're like, woo, did you hear that? And they go crazy. They're like, this is unbelievable. The guy said extra Tehillim. He sat for a few extra minutes to learn Torah today, or to daven, or to do a good deed, or to help somebody else and give tzedakah. And it's like, things happen. You put on tefillin here and you help the soldiers there. It's like, you can't imagine what happens. And then over there, it shines without concealment. Like in this world, everything is concealed, but over there, it shines without concealment. So you bought them, see us. For were the Ein Sof not screened by garments, the worlds cannot bear it. Thus, the revelation wrought by subjugation of the Klippa. When we subjugate the Klippa in this world, it's greater than all the higher worlds. We create a tremendous cosmic effect. They can't do the same thing up there. They can't do $23.31 and it has an effect down here. It doesn't work. It doesn't go the opposite way. There, the Ein Sof is hidden, whereas in this world, it is revealed in all its strength. What does that mean? Takeaway. The upper worlds are sublime, but they are not an expression of Hashem's infinity. They are, in fact, a concealment of His light. When we do a mitzvah and we reveal the infinite light of God, we are able to transform the darkness into light. Again, we think of that as just a nice saying, transforming darkness into light. We gave real, on-the-ground, tangible expressions of this idea by looking within our personal selves. You pick your battle and win your war. But within ourselves, whether it's jealousy, anger, hatred, sadness. Sadness is a ploy of the Yetzer Hara more than any, because it brings a person to melancholy and laziness. You know what? I'm not talking about clinical depression, Larry. I'm not talking about, some people need medication to work through it and then they're okay. But just, I don't want to, miserable today. That's the Yetzer Hara. The Alter Rebbe talks about it in Tanya. Because then you don't want to get up, you don't want to go daven, you don't want to do you don't want to do anything. So it might not be an avera that you can find in the Torah, but it leads to many missed opportunities and many transgressions. So dafka in the month of Adar, we have to be b'simcha, and we have to break through those boundaries. When we do our part, when we do a mitzvah or we overcome one of those, whether again the attacks of the Yetzer Hara in so many different ways, that's the light that we're talking about. That's the transformation that we're able, starting down here and affecting worlds that we couldn't even possibly imagine. So go do it, and mostly do it b'simcha. Have a wonderful day, everybody.